Hello, and welcome to the Why Did You Write That podcast, where we discussed, we feel disgust, and we discuss failures in writing craft in modern media. With me today is Doughboy, Godcat, and Telemnar. If you don't know, actually, let me try to point, okay? Oh my god, everything is reversed. That's why this is difficult. Also, I'm a squirrel. This is this is Doughboy, this is Godcat, and this is Telemnar. There we go. All right. So say hi, everyone, panelists. Don't say hi all at once.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Okay, all right. So they'll light up when they
I all
speak.
at once. I'm a bad boy.
They'll light up when they
Hmm.
speak, and they have lots to say about the interesting writerly choices in Wheel of Time Season 1. I've got them all to write out two of the worst examples of craft failures in Season 1 of Wheel of Time. And we're going to go through that now. If you have not watched Wheel of Time, the TV series, don't. Just a pro tip. Do not watch this thing. It is quite terrible, and the writing is even worse. All right, so let us begin with Godcat. Would you like to start with your worst examples of writing craft in season 1 of Wheel of Time? Take it away.
I think it's worth informing the audience that you gave us two categories. One, character and plot. So we're supposed to choose the worst character-related element and the worst plot-related element. And I deliberated hard over it. And even now, I'm still not 100% certain in my choice, but I'm going to commit to it. I'd say the worst part is the failure to tell the difference between the two female members of the party whose names I cannot remember, but we chose to nickname them Thing 1 and Thing 2. I'm going to confess myself as not very racially conscious here, but I could not tell what their races were. I just knew that they were both brownish, and they both wore the same hairstyle, this braided ponytail, combined with the fact that they both had this sort of pseudo-stoic mannerism that most female characters in Hollywood have nowadays. Because of this, I could never tell them apart, and this became an issue because there were points in the first season where I kept thinking that one of them was contradicting herself because they were both just so similar.
Yeah, it's impossible to
It
tell
became
the
less-
difference.
It became less of a problem in the second half of the series after the haircut, but I really want to dwell on this because it's not just an issue of writing the voice; it's also an issue of designing the character. Even with live action characters, it's the same thing because you still have a makeup department and costume guys. Like Luke Skywalker has this very iconic look in the original Star Wars. Like almost every character in Star Wars has this very iconic look to them with their costumes and their hairstyles and whatnot. Here we have just two characters, vaguely brownish, with the same braided ponytail in this very dull environment, and I just could never tell who was who. I knew like general ideas of what was supposed to be going on with them. I just could not tell them apart. As for plot, my main problem above all else is that for season 1, the heroes, despite their efforts, basically lost. This is kind of a problem that's recurring in a lot of stream services. I noticed this very early on with Voltron. A lot of them are just obsessed with cliffhangers over and over again instead of giving a complete story. Be it one episode or one season, they just can't give a complete story. Season 1 has a simple storyline of finding the dragon and using it to defeat the Dark One. Now, admittedly, you want to keep this going, so you probably shouldn't succeed in that department, in which case I would recommend a smaller goal. But regardless, despite their efforts to destroy the Dark One, all that happens is the Dragon Reborn accidentally sets the Dark One's strongest lieutenant free. So so it's basically no accomplishment. Again, compared to Star Wars, A New Hope. The main reason Star Wars is this big franchise is because A New Hope was a self-contained story. It had like one loose thread, which was Vader escaping, but other than that, it was a complete story. You could just watch that and nothing else with the franchise, and walk away satisfied. At this stage, some people might even recommend that. By comparison, like Wheel of Time season 1 is just like, oh, we're not finishing it. It's all dour, and the villains won despite everything. You have to come back next season to see what happens next. You're not guaranteed a next season. You're not. So for the love of God, just give us a complete story before you start throwing cliffhangers at us.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Especially if you're not going to write to any level of, like, any standard. Like, my main criticism about Wheel of Time season 1 is I don't remember anything that happened. Well, I mean, I can if I force myself, I can remember. And that's bad. That's really bad. Like, with good storytelling, I can think of things that I watched when I was, in my early teens or younger, and I could still remember the story. Like, Batteries Not Included. I don't think I've watched that in 27 years. And I can still recall some of the more impactful moments, character moments, plot twists, that kind of thing. With season 1 of Wheel of Time, which I believe I watched 2 weeks ago? Is it 2 weeks now? Sometime.
I think so.
Yeah, about 2 weeks
We're going
ago.
at a rate of 2 episodes per night at most.
Yeah.
So
I watched it about 2 weeks ago. I can't remember anything. I think I remember. Okay, let me just try to recall what I remember. I remember the overwhelming feeling of everything being very dour, being poorly lit. I remember the characters not liking each other and not being particularly likable. I remember Perrin, who I only remember the name of because Telemnar, who has read the books, knows the names of these characters. I remember Perrin mouth breathing a lot, which really annoyed me. I don't even remember anything that Rand did. I don't think he did anything. I don't think he made any choices. I think Moragraine did something at some point. I'm sure they did. They did do something at some point. But other than that, it's just forgotten to the winds of time. I'm really trying. Like, I'm really trying here. It's almost like this block of... And I don't think I blocked anything out. I don't think it was that traumatic. It was just that not memorable. And one of the issues that generally happens when this occurs with writing is the causality isn't there. Because usually when things follow things and they make sense and there's like a central conflict, you can remember things. I'm trying to remember. I remember the Orgier. Anyone want to help me with the pronunciation of that?
I think
The big
it's
hairy
just
dude.
Ogier.
Yeah.
I think it's just Ogier.
Yep.
And his name is literally Loyal.
Yeah, I remember the intro, and I thought he was sort of an interesting character. He was fun. But somebody is saying my focus seems off. It's not my focus. It's my internet. It's really bad. You're probably just getting the vols. It might get better as it catches up. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, I'm trying like really hard. You guys want to throw something out? Can you guys throw out maybe a plot point? Maybe I can attach to something.
There's the guy who ferried them across the river. He wanted to go back and save his son from the Trollocs, and Moiraine created a whirlpool to destroy his boat, and he dove in and died. That was right at the start of the journey. Then we're spending half the season walking through a forest. Then they go to Cursed City. They get split up. They reunite in the city.
Oh, yes, the random citadel in the desert, right? It was in a desert, wasn't it?
And no, it was at the edge of the forest.
At the edge of the forest.
It's where he gets the cursed knife.
Yeah, and it's where everyone gets Thanos.
Oh, I think I'm recalling something from the... Thank you, guys. I think I'm finally recalling something from the climax. There was an Asian brother and sister, right? I'm recalling
I
this
remember
correctly.
one Asian guy and one Asian woman. I do not remember
I think they were
siblings,
brother and
but
sister.
I think they're
There
dead.
was something about defending their citadel. Ah,
Ah, yes, that.
okay. Okay, I've reconstructed what one of the things that greatly annoyed me about Wheel of Time season 1 from these vague mists of memory from the climax. I remember them running through Hemorrhoid Road. I think it has that's what I remember of the name. Telenar, you
I
probably
think it
know
was the
the.
Waygate.
Yeah, it was some way
The
to.
ways.
Yeah, the ways.
That's not. That's not. That's not the hemorrhoid. That's a different thing from
Oh yes,
the
oh
dream
yes.
world.
Hemorrhoid Road was the dream world. The ways.
No, it wasn't. Oh, okay.
No, no. Okay, what was
Can't
it?
keep track of the nomenclature.
No, I
Well,
can't.
the ways are. Yeah, they're. They don't go into the dream world this entire season. I don't think. They only show you the ways, which are a separate thing, like
Mhm.
a kind of teleportation system network.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So they go into the ways. Everybody goes into the ways, and they're running through the ways, and somebody channels, like one of the women channels, and it was sort of set up that if they channel, then this evil wind will get them. And I remember one of the women channeled, the evil wind came after them, and they were running away from it. And then she did something to, I guess, fix the problem, but they still had to dart out a gate before the gate that they wanted to take, so they had to leave the subway car at a stop they didn't intend to, that was before their stop. But then
Yes.
then when they left the subway at the stop before their stop, that's what I'm going to call it. I'm just going to call it the subway. You call it the ways, I'm calling it the subway. It's the magic subway. When they left the magic subway at the wrong stop, it turned out that it was the right stop. You remember that? Wasn't that
Yes.
incredible? Like this is okay, guys. If you're listening, there's a particular thing with writing that when you end a scene, the scene ends with a yes, but, or a no. So what that means is that your main character at the end of the scene has to fail. Now they could seem to win, but there has to be a catch to their win that they find out later. That is the yes, but. Yes, you win, but yes, you get out of the pit of snakes, Indy, but now you're in the path of the rolling boulder, right? Even if the boulder is set off screen, he doesn't realize that he's in the path of the rolling boulder. The audience must be aware. They must eventually find out what the but was, and the but is always bad. But in this case, we have our protagonists screw up. They run out of the subway at the wrong stop, and somehow that becomes the right stop. And I'm going to tell you why. Because there was a question with these characters. There was a question. And the question of the season was, which one of these characters is among us, is the spy, or is the assassin? Which one is the Dragon Reborn? Now, that's apparently wasn't in the books. They always knew who the Dragon Reborn, and the Dragon Reborn was Brand. But that's not girl bossy enough, so the two women were also thrown in the mix, and they could have been the Dragon Reborn. So we didn't know which of these four characters was the Dragon Reborn. And this was a critical question because Morgraine, which is low rent Arwen up on screen here, Bargain Bin Arwen up on screen here, she needed to know which one of them was the Dragon Reborn so she could take them to meet the evil one. I'm not even going to get into any more details on anything. She just needed the Dragon Reborn to take that individual to go confront the evil one. So they leave the subway at the wrong stop. They end up in this fortress, right? This fortress town. And in the fortress town is the very soothsayer that they need to find out which one of them is the Dragon Reborn. And another reason why this question that was critical to answer this question was because one of them had not gone into the subway. For whatever reason, he refused. Perhaps he felt like the subway was not safe. Whatever. He refused, and he could have been the Dragon Reborn. So they didn't know if they were actually even taking the Dragon Reborn to the Evil One for the climactic confrontation. So they leave the subway too early, but that's good. That's good. It ends up to their favor because they bump in to the soothsayer that informs them that yes, Rand is the Dragon Reborn. So everything is good to continue on to the climactic confrontation with the Evil One. That's not good writing. This whole screw up should have resulted in something worse happening. Should have been resulted in a yes, but. Yes, they survived the evil wind, but everything is worse now. Like something has to go wrong until it goes right in the climax, which was really, actually, now that you think about it, everything sort of went right up to the climax, and then everything went wrong. It's a very unique form of storytelling. I couldn't give it a name except crap. All right.
Mary Sue's crossed with forced cliffhangers. We need a name for that, but that's the starting place.
Mary Sue's crossed with forced cliffhangers. God only knows.
I don't know. That sounds pretty catchy to me.
Yeah. All right, let's go into the next. Man, these streams are not getting much attention, but that's okay. We'll keep going. All right, so Telemnar, did you want to take it away? What was the two worst things about that first season of Wheel of Time?
Yes. As far as the characters go, there are three main male characters, which are Rand, Mat, and Perrin. And Rand especially, but also Mat, and to an extent Perrin, but not as much, have their screen time and any kind of action they take in the show very much minimized, because Moiraine, who is being shown on screen, has a lot more time in the front and center in the story than she does in the books. And of course, they also had to make room for Egwene because they said, well, the Chosen One could be a girl in defiance of lore, but who cares? And part of the problem with this is, okay, Egwene basically has the same personality as another character, Nynaeve, but she just wants to bang Rand, and Nynaeve doesn't.
Yeah.
That's like, I think that's part of the thing that was giving Godcat a hard time. It's like, okay, is this the like cranky dark-skinned one who wants to bang Rand, or is the cranky dark-skinned one who doesn't want to bang Rand? That's the only real difference between their personalities. So it's and in the books they're very different people. Nynaeve has a real anger problem, but she's also very mothering, and Egwene is much less mothering, and she just kind of wants to. She has some ideas about romance and being a little more. She's a much nicer person. Like everyone knows, oh yeah, Nynaeve, like she'll take good care of you and she's good at her job, but she needs to take a chill pill. So that's the characterization, because Rand is the main character in the story and he's the action hero and he's doing all kinds of cool stuff in the books, but we hardly see him throughout the season. Mat is a lot of fun when he does show up on screen. It's really neat because he's always got something clever or funny. He's kind of a trickster character who also occasionally winds up having to do heroic things, even though he really wished he didn't have to. And Perrin, I think they didn't give it to someone with enough experience, and the writers couldn't handle it anyway. But he does a lot of reflection. He's a very internal character. It's hard to do on TV. But he, I don't know, breathing with your mouth open is kind of like having depth. Anyway, so those were the characters. And if your main characters are sidelined and minimized, then you just get a kind of a large number of secondary characters. And if you make their personalities of some of these secondary characters, such as Nynaeve and Egwene, a little more similar, like that's also not a good thing.
Yeah.
So you're making it worse in a lot of ways. So that's the character problems. The plot problem, particularly in the final episode, although I think they did this, like honestly, throughout the series. they basically have three plot lines going on at the same time, and then the way they edited the show is you jump from one major event to another halfway through that event. So it's not done in a way of oh no, there's just been a twist or a hook or some uh, unexpected thing. It's like no, they're in the middle of a fight, or they're in the middle of of like either a one-on-one magic battle or a big fight against an army or whatever. And so you sort of get this dramatic moment that then gets cut away when we should be seeing like in an ideal sense, the way the plot goes is that if we look at the books, you have Rand at the end. He's having this giant climactic battle with one of the Forsaken, who's basically like an acolyte of Satan in this, and all kinds of crazy stuff should be happening. You basically, in the books, you see signs and portents, and the entire army kind of responds to how well he's doing with his fight with this guy, and it's this huge, awesome moment where we confirm, yeah, it really is him. He's the Dragon Reborn. This is at the end of the first book. Spoilers, by the way. These have been out since the 90s. Catch up, people. And in the story, you sort of... So these things are connected. You have this fight between Rand and the Forsaken, and there's lots of magic use, and there's sword fighting. And then you also have this connected conventional battle between an army of Trollocs who are trying to get out there and do stuff, and the people who followed them into the wastes, into where they have to go, to the eye of the world. In the show, they said, okay, we're going to have this fight at this city that we've only just found out about and we spend 3 minutes at and we don't really care about. And it's just going to be completely unrelated to what's happening with Rand, who's going to go like with just him and Moiraine instead of this entire group that they go in within the books. And then we're going to jump back and forth between one and the other, and they're both going to win, but it's for completely unconnected reasons. And we're kind of going to give them both equal weight in terms of time. So, like we can't concentrate on the grand finale of the season, and it just makes it the thing that the season has theoretically been building towards so much less interesting because of this. So they should have just focused on that, and then maybe you have some brief glimpses of the conventional fighting also happening. Focus on the fight between him and the satanic acolyte, and then also given us some brief stuff. But they really just said, no, we're going to treat every part of the plot as though it's equally important and deserves the same amount of screen time, and that can kind of work in a big sprawling novel like we have here. But this is a TV show. It's very different. Time is of the essence. So I think they really screwed themselves by deciding to handle the multiple things that are happening in this totally disconnected way when it's already a big, kind of messy book with lots of stuff happening. They didn't need to make it messier and even more disconnected than it already is. And that's the end.
All right. Yeah, that was true as well. And I think they did that to minimize the focus on Rand, honestly. They did the multiple threading. Did you mention that? That they did it to reduce the focus on Rand?
I didn't mention that specifically, but that kind of ties in with my point about the characters, because they minimized them as well. But yeah, that was... they were definitely trying to push, oh yeah, well, Moiraine is really effectively in terms of screen time and the amount of development she gets. In theory, Moiraine is kind of the main character in season 1. And I think they were really trying to lean on, it could be Egwene, who is the Dragon Reborn, who is the reincarnation of the chosen one who's going to save the world. Like it could be her. We don't know, even though for world building reasons it has to be a man because of how the magic system works. But whatever. This massively, and sometimes even at the time for me, like annoyingly feminist book is still 90s feminists, so not good enough anymore.
No, it's not even feminist at all. Okay, so Doughboy, did you want to describe the 2 top worst things about season 1 of Wheel of Time that you found, that really bugged you, shall we say?
Yes, thank you. Character-wise, the thing that bothered me most about season one was Moraine. I actually kind of liked her when I read the first book. She came across as like a female version of Gandalf, wise, a bit mysterious, but also friendly and approachable. In fact, there's one scene, there's actually one part in chapter 2 of the first book that kind of encapsulates it. And this is Moraine speaking. "You know my name," she said, sounding delighted. "But you must call me Moraine, not Lady. And what are your names?" She's talking to Rand and Matt at this point. And that it's a small detail, but it makes her come across as so friendly and approachable. This is not how she is in the show at all. She's cold, she's aloof, she's snappish whenever they're in a whenever the characters are upset or confused about anything. And it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth because I actually, like I said, I kind of did like her after reading book one.
Mm.
Also, her newfound lesbianism had no chemistry, and I can't stand it. But that's another problem. Plot wise, I'm actually bothered most by what's not in the show. The approach to adaptation was so loose for Wheel of Time that entire segments of the book didn't make it into the show. I think the one that stuck out to me the most was when Rand actually falls through the ceiling of this one building and ends up meeting the Crown Prince and the Crown Princess Elaine, who actually does get introduced in the series later on. And as a result of meeting them, he actually ends up getting taken to the Queen and asked some very significant questions that he can't fully answer. And it's actually a very tense, dramatic scene that introduces very important characters and lays out some of the conflicts that will brew later. Because the show opted to cut it out, they had to reintroduce the princess, her siblings, and her mother in season 2, and I think even in season 3 for the rest of her family, and completely alter the trajectory of their story as a result.
Yeah, that's there was a lot of that. I mean, I can't comment on it because I didn't read the books, but ultimately, like I said, season 3 or season 1 of Wheel of Time, I can barely remember anything that happened, and a lot of it was because the writing just didn't have a coherency. And I think I'm going to come back to this particular criticism over and over again. There was every scene, every character, they didn't tell you how it related back to the central conflict. And I think the reason why was because they didn't want to write the central conflict, because the central conflict featured Rand too much, and they wanted to write about lesbian witches in a matriarchy or something. At least they're.
And they didn't even manage to be genuinely titillating. Like, come on, you could at least. Anyway, I mean, if you can go on a porno site and find stuff that's like got better chemistry than this, then your lesbianism is a waste of time. Just give us more plot or character development or something.
Your lesbianism lacks all chemistry. Yeah, that's that really becomes the problem. It's like, why are you wasting our time with this relationship that nobody wants to buy in? And the other thing is, they just made these relationships happen. Like one in particular. Oh, this is the second season, I think, so I can't mention it. But I found that the relationship between Morgraine and the Amyrlin Seat, which is her lesbian lover, was it didn't have anything I wanted to invest in. Like you were saying, it had no charisma. It had no anything. Like, it had nothing. It was just there for the sake of being there. It wasn't even treated with any kind of legitimacy. It was just tacked on. It's just, oh, okay, they're lesbians. And this became, in fact, it's almost like they took the conflict between Rand as the Dragon Reborn and the Dark One, whatever he was called, and they replaced that with this relationship between Morgraine and the Amyrlin Seat. And then they did ridiculous things, like Morgraine had been traveling for 20 years, I think it was, and she's like, yeah, and they're about to go back to the White Tower where her lover presumably is, because that's what we find later. And Morgraine says something like, I feel at home in the saddle now, because I've been traveling for 20 years. And that makes it feel like this is not a big homecoming. Like, if you want to set this up, then set it up. Right? Don't constantly fritter away your character momentum by having these moments that directly contradict the next moment. So if Morgraine is really looking forward to seeing her lover again, then show that. Don't have her say something like, oh yeah, now the saddle has become my real home. It's like, isn't your real home where your lover is? And incidentally, why haven't you returned in 20 years if this woman is really important to you? Like, these are the kinds of mistakes they make constantly in this story. They don't think that they have to set things up. They think that they can harvest stuff without ever sowing it and fertilizing it and watering it and getting rid of the weeds and the bugs. They can just go there and it's there. It's right there. You don't have to actually set anything up. You don't have to actually lay the groundwork or foreshadow or even I'd even take J.R.R. Martin's forebricking over this complete lack of any kind of setup. You just, bam, there we are. There they are. Morgraine is with her very deep lesbian love that she didn't even think to mention as she returned to the Citadel where her lesbian lover lives. She didn't even think to portray any kind of anticipation, maybe some nervousness over meeting up with this woman after 20 years. No, nothing. Just, I've gotten really used to the seat now, the saddle. I feel like the saddle's my new home. Why would you have, like, small talk like that? Like, and why wouldn't you recognize that nobody's going to invest in this relationship if you don't demonstrate the characters themselves invest in it? As far as in terms of screen time and how this is set up, this relationship between Morgraine and the Amyrlin Seat could have just been a booty call. Some random booty call once. Like, she comes home every 20 years, or she comes to the White Tower every 20 years and basically says to the Amyrlin Seat, get on your knees, worship my sex. That's their relationship. Blah. That's not a relationship. It's not something I want to invest in. In fact, it's so bad, I don't even know why it's there. Can anyone else explain that?
Diversity,
Yeah,
inclusion.
pretty much diversity, inclusion, and equity.
Okay, I think it actually is an element in the books. I remember somebody telling me that in later books, it's mentioned that these two characters were intimate when they were younger, but now they've kind of moved on from each other. The show wanted to expand on that little nugget of lesbianism.
Well, fine. It doesn't matter if it's in the book. Like, you still have to make it in your story. Like, you still have to set it up. You still have to establish it. You still have to get people to invest in it, like, emotionally. I mean, this would be the same problem as if the Amyrlin Seat was a man or Morgraine was a man. This wasn't established. And in fact, there was another relationship between a man and a woman that I couldn't stand either. It was that the Green Goblin and one of her
Orders, bodyguards.
Yeah, one of the Fagagorn. Her male bodyguard, whatever it was. Which incidentally I couldn't care less about either. The relationships, the symbolic or the bonds between these magical bonds, couldn't care less about them either. They didn't seem very significant in any capacity. Like, it just whatever. So yeah, the Green Goblin and Fagagorn, that relationship wasn't set up. It was dumb. I had nothing to invest in. It was actually sort of creeping me out somehow. Egwene and Rand. Again, I had nothing to invest in there either. Except that it got increasingly creepy as the seasons progressed. So it's like, it's not that it was Morgraine, it was not that it was two women. It's that, and even if there was hinted at in by Robert Jordan later, you still have to write it. If you're going to explore it, you gotta make people invest in it or something, or not invest in it, or think it's toxic, whatever. There's no emotion that I associate with this relationship, and yet they attempted to make it the emotional core of the story. Okay, I can't, like I said, I am having a bitch of a time trying to remember anything that happened in season 1, so I can't really give you a rundown of what I thought was stupid. It all was, honestly. And the fact that it was completely unmemorable is evidence of that.
Wait, we had homework and you didn't? Oh.
You just think of just one bad plot point, one bad character point, and you kind of went on a big spiel about the lesbianism, so that's one down.
Yeah.
Well, no. There was also the plot point of when they step out of the ways of the subway, as you like to call it. Then they have the bad handling of the yes and like it turns out to be just exactly where they should have been instead of creating an additional obstacle. So that's a plot point, and the characters. I mean, after that, yeah, that was a rant about characters just now with the quote relationship unquote between Moiraine and Suan Sanchez, who she's referring to, the Emerald Seat. That's so yeah, you did it. You've completed the homework.
Yeah. All right.
You get an A.
Yeah, and I think that we'll call it a day for that. I know this is a short stream, but I don't feel like I already did a stream today with Brian, and we're also sort of testing Kick as well, and the camera isn't great at the moment. All right, so I'm going to you guys. Yeah, this will just be a short screen, just a short update. We're doing stuff. We're getting through the Wheel of Time. We'll be doing the next 2 seasons as well. And if you want to send us a message at any time after the show is over, feedthebadger.com/justthetip is the way to do that. It's the very best way to send us a tip, and the very best way for you to get a message to us. It's been a quiet night, but that's okay. Yeah. All right. So this has been the Why Did You Write That podcast. Did you guys want to say anything, any final words before we finish this off? Very, very short one.
This show should change its title to Wheel of Time Better Spent on Literally Anything Else.
Yes. Yes, that is a good point. Wheel of Better Spent on Anything Else. Wheel of Tedium. Wheel of Lesbianism. Wheel of DEI. Sorry?
Wheel of... God damn it, even when they brought us to the place with all the hot redheaded tomboys, there were hardly any hot redheaded tomboys. There were like 2. Maybe.
Was there even 2? Like, honestly, they just seemed really awful, like awful human beings. But maybe that's separate from being hot tomboys.
Well, oh my god. They're also... Okay, well, anyway, we can complain about that when we talk about season 3, but oh my god, come on. Yeah. It was...
Okay. All right.
It would have been so much fun if I'll rephrase that. This whole show would have been more fun if everybody that they cast was as good looking as they are described in the books.
Or as well lit. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we couldn't tell the difference between Thing 1 and Thing 2, which are the 2 supposed main female characters, is because they are never well lit.
That's an excellent point. It doesn't fall into the writing category, but it's really weird that a massively budgeted, like 12 million US per episode, I think, production such as this doesn't say, oh, wow, you have this skin tone. You should do that with the lighting.
Yes.
And here's some makeup to make you look your best in front of the camera, which is a very nice way of telling women they're mids, but you're who we could get for the casting. But whatever,
Well,
got to be diplomatic with the actors. They're all crazy.
Telemnar, you say that like everybody on a camera is wearing makeup. Everyone, guaranteed.
Yeah, but it's supposed to make them, like in this case, why didn't they do it to make them look better instead of like you can find them, you can Google the actresses, for instance, and you can just see what they look like when they're not
on
in
the
this
camera
show.
in this show, yeah.
And you think, well, okay, why do you look better now? Like, why didn't they Why did they do something to make you look less good with makeup? It's weird.
Yes. Well, it's just the lighting. You can't see their freaking faces. So they just did
Yeah.
not look good. All right, so this has been the Why Did You Write That podcast. I want to thank the people for my panelists for joining. That's Telenar, Godcat, and Doughboy. And happy viewing wherever you are, wherever you want to be. Do not watch Wheel of Time TV show. Do not watch it if you have never watched. Even if you don't care about the books, don't care for the books, never read the books, this is not a good TV show. And it is objectively not a good TV show because the writing is absolutely terrible on an objective level. Like it's failing fundamental aspects of craft: setup, payoff, ending scenes prior to the climax with a failure of the protagonist, so that they don't just luck into things, or if they luck into things, it causes problems elsewhere. Right? So it always has to end on either a no or a yes but. Okay? They didn't do that. They did not seem to understand sequel structure, and they're incapable of any kind of setup that wasn't in the episode where the setup had the payoff, which was like, do you have any like object continuity, guys? Can you understand that your story exists after that particular episode's credits roll? Apparently not. All right, so join us next time for Wheel of Time, Wheel of Tedium, Season 2. And we will be discussing what we did not like about that. Actually, before we go, did anybody like anything about Season 1?
That it ended.
I was about to say. I can't top that.
I have an unironic answer, which is the guy who plays is it Samael or Ishamael? Which one is it? Is it?
I think it's Ishmael, but I just call him Ishmael.
And this is season 1. Where is it? His name isn't mentioned at all. Okay, whatever. But yeah, it's they basically had this really cool looking actor in a cool costume, had a lot of charisma. He was just way more interesting to listen to and look at than most of the other actors for most of the entire season. Him and Logain, actually, the guy who played the character Logain, who's a false dragon who can control magic but isn't the real deal like Rand is. Yeah, that was fun. But then we wait till the second to last episode to see him. He's not in there for very long, so it's really too bad. But
And
yes,
he's
Andrew.
defeated by simping,
Yeah.
which is
probably
probably the greatest sin this show committed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now that you brought him up, I think we all agree that we liked Logain, and we're disappointed that he was underutilized.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
doesn't train Rand at all. We never
Yeah.
see that happening.
Well, he gives one small bit of advice. Other than that, nothing. Aside from that, I like the cool dark forest Ishmael was sealed in, and I also like the that Forbidden City with the evil shadow on the walls that dissolves people. Those were both
Yeah.
really
In
neat.
the first episode or second episode, in the second episode, that's when we
I
get
think it
to
was like
that.
the third or fourth.
That was cool.
It was after a few.
Mm.
Was it?
The whole thing's a blur, so I might be.
It's in the it's in the second episode, and second to third episode, I think. Whatever.
Okay, I
something
got
like that.
one thing. I think that the set design for the place where the witches all congregate was actually really nice.
Mm.
Like the Amelin seat, the throne room. It actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
That's it.
I think there was at one point a teal plus gold color scheme, and I appreciated that. Also,
The
it
book
ended.
has yes, but the book has a lot of descriptions in it, but it would have been nice to see that are very colorful or very evocative. But I think that may have bored the Silencer in Chief to death. But well, by Silent Storm Chief I mean Allison, by the way. Sorry, but we didn't get much of those during the show. Like the initial village that we started in Two Rivers, we get this really cool overhead shot of them basically preparing for a siege in season 3. Like it's almost towards the end of season 3, and I don't know why I guess maybe they hadn't built it yet, but if it would have been cool to see something like that in season 1 and give us a taste of what, like a view of this cool like pseudo medieval village. Why didn't they do that? Maybe they were completely disorganized. I mean, they certainly didn't put in the kind of effort they put into Lord of the Rings. Not 1%. They had a massive budget on the level of the Lord of the Rings. They didn't have the same kind of care for storytelling or set design or costumes or making sure you can see what people's faces look like or anything like that. And they didn't respect the source material. God damn them.
Not at all.
You know, sorry, what?
I said not at all. They didn't respect the source material at all.
No, and I was gonna give at least some mercy to the people writing the show and working on it, because the show was filming during the COVID lockdowns, so they had a lot of restrictions. They wanted the first season to be 10 episodes and had to chop it down to 8. But this is the barest defense because it doesn't hold up for the later seasons, which didn't have those restrictions.
All right, so yeah, and my husband wanted to defend this until I told him it was they spent $12 million an episode. He was like, "Well, this is just a low budget," and I'm like, "No, $12 million, friend." And he's like, "Oh, there's no defense." And again, it ended, so that was one of the best parts of it. Parts of season 1 of Wheel of Time. All right, so join us next time. And have a lovely evening, afternoon, whatever you are doing, wherever you're doing it. Thank you for your kind attention.